Joining us now to comment on that, we have Kabataan Party List Representative Renee to share her views on the latest developments in the House leadership issue. Magandang umaga sa iyo.
Magandang umaga po. Maraming salamat po sa pag-imbita sa programa ninyo.
Congresswoman, bago tayo pumunta doon sa leadership change, gusto ko muna puntahan yung naging exchange ninyo ng Vice Presidente kahapon dito sa House Appropriations hearing. Of course, she asked if you were related to Congressman Zaldi Co. Were you surprised over that question, or did you at least expect it? Because the way I saw it, it seems you were prepared to answer.
Well, I didn't expect it dahil public knowledge yung aking background, no? I come from Malabon, my parents are from Cebu. There is a TikTok sa page namin explaining that. No, malayo kami sa bituka ni Representative Zaldi Co. And so, with diligent research or even just a cursory glance at our social media, you can definitely find the answer. So, hindi ko in-expect. But wala po akong tinatago. Even though out of order ang question, I can answer. So, it's unlike po yung ginagawa po ni VP Sara na kung ano-anong mga paikot-ikot sa mga sagot ay sa mga tanong natin in relation to her spending, not only for this year or for the coming year, no, pero for the previous years. But for me, yes, I have no familial relation, di ko po kaano-ano si Representative Zaldi Co. We just share the same surname as many do Filipinos here in the Philippines.
Oo, marami nga nagre-react dun sa feed ko na Ko yung last name eh. So
Or Jaco, or Coco.
Okay. So that is on the record. No familial relations with the former House of Appropriations Chair Zaldi Co. Second question is, were you satisfied over how this hearing was conducted? The 908.2 million budget has been approved already. Is that correct? Were you happy with the way things went?
Well, there are still plenary debates po. Meaning, hindi pa po pinal na approved yung budget ng OVP. But one step has been passed by the OVP. Pero sa amin, definitely we're not satisfied with how the hearing went. Lalo na't marami tayong tanong doon sa paano niya spend yung kanyang 2025 budget, which puts into question kung paano isa-spend ang 2026 budget. In particular, I'd like to highlight sa bahagi ng questioning ni Representative Tino, pinoint out niya yung budget utilization rate, which is only at 34%. We are more than, nasa 3/4 na tayo ng taon. Ini-expect natin na magre-reflect yun sa budget utilization rate. 34% is less than, far away from 50%. So, ibig sabihin, hindi efficient po yung spending ng OVP. Ang sagot sa atin na matagal yung bidding, ito rin naman yung karanasan ng lahat ng government agency. So, we're not satisfied with that answer. And yung tanong ko naman po, yung travel funds, nagbigay ng exhaustive list si VP Sara doon sa kanyang saan siya pupunta-punta. And ang tanong natin, is this personal? Is this official? And kung personal sila, is she using OVP funds? Ang sagot na nakuha natin, pretty evasive, not all, ang sabi. But she confirms that 7.4 million pesos has been spent for flight and accommodations of her staff and security. So, ibig sabihin, there are some of those travels personal in nature, but magsuspend po for staff and security. So sa atin, we put into question yung ganong klaseng spending and paano naman therefore yung spending niya in the next year, lalo na yung track record ng paano yung spending niya in the previous years, which is exactly the subject of an impeachment complaint kasi hindi niya, nakita natin yung anomalya sa spending ng confidential and intelligence funds, having names like Mary Grace Piatos, or even yung mga disbursing officers ay security heads that is violative of memoranda and rules of DBM and COA.
I heard you asking for documents from the Vice President. So will she be able to provide a list of all those travel expenses for your review?
This is what we hope to do. Ito po naman yung mandato ng mga agencies when sumasalang po sila sa budget hearings. In-exercise ng House of Representatives yung kanilang legislative oversight. And in the past, no, we're able to receive documents from various agencies in relation sa kanilang spending. We will be sure to flag. Pag hindi po na-receive ng Kabataan Party List or the Committee of Appropriations, yung nire-request na document that is on record, no? And yung magiging subject ng further scrutiny sa plenary debates and other aspects of the budget hearings.
Now, unlike the committee hearing of the Vice President last year, ito medyo mas mabilis. What was your feel of the room? I mean, and your colleagues there in the House Appropriations Committee, parang did they just want to get it over with, or tingin nyo sa plenary talaga magkakatalo ito?
Well, definitely, the feel of the room is they wanted as soon as possible for us to stop asking questions. That was evident in when I was asking questions. No, representatives would create manifestations to answer on behalf of VP Sara. So on my part and on the part of Representative Tino, we actually take exception. Ayaw po namin na magkakaroon ng parliamentary courtesy extend to OVP and even to the Office of the President. When this was extended to both agencies, kami po ay nag-object. Ito po ay dahil in these extraordinary times kung saan nasisiwalat sa kung gaano kalalim at kalawak yung korupsyon ng pera ng bayan, there is no time and this is not the moment para magkaroon ng gantong courtesy na ine-extend. Dapat siyasatin natin lahat ng aspects ng budget, no? But sa Office of the President, we were not allowed to ask questions, no? It was put to a vote and we were just later made to manifest. And sa plenary po kasi, hindi na po haharap yung head of agency. Who will defend the budget will be the sponsor of the budget, a fellow representative. There will be staff that will assist. Pero hindi na po ito magkakaroon ng opportunity that we directly ask the head of agency and various department heads kung ano po yung rationale ng budget nila or kung ano man yung answers sa questions or concerns namin. And sa OVP, no, though we were allowed to ask questions na kami po ni Representative Tino for Makabayan Bloc, sa bahagi namin, dapat allowed na magtanong lahat ng representatives. May mga civil society organizations that are witness and sitting in sa mga budget hearings na to. Kung may tanong sila, hindi ba natin i-allow? Paano na yung call for transparency? So for us, dapat hindi nag-grant yung parliamentary immunity and dapat patuloy nating sinisiyasat yung lahat ng aspeto ng budget.
And speaking of that, no, balak din ba ninyo i-bring up itong confidential funds ng Office of the President? Kasi yun nga sinasabi din ng kampo ng mga Duterte, tingnan nyo din yung kumbaga parang wag lang kami, tingnan nyo rin yung iba pang mga ahensya, katulad na lamang yun nga ng Office of the President. Kamusta yun? Will that also be discussed, or will parliamentary courtesy again be extended to the Office of the President?
Yun din yung kinagugulo ng isip ko pagka sinusumbat sa amin yun, no? Because we are very clearly critics of the spending and hindi pagiging transparent sa 4.5 billion confidential and intelligence funds ng Office of the President. Since years back, 4.5 billion pesos na yan. And patuloy nating tinatanong, saan yung spending yan? Nasaan yung reports? Bakit ba ginagawa siyang confidence and intelligence funds when, this big of a lump sum ay prone to abuse? And therefore, dapat nang ilagay sa items ng regular budget so that legislative oversight can be better used or utilized. Sadly, ang patuloy na sagot sa atin is, confidential siya in nature and therefore, limited yung masishare natin. And when up for debates or hearings, ito ay igagranta ng parliamentary courtesy. So that's why sa amin, given yung extraordinary circumstances nga, and hindi nga extraordinary to because ang unfortunate na reality natin is this corruption is deeply baked into the system. It's just now na sinisiwalat lahat ng mga anomalya down to ghost flood control projects to substandard by design na flood control projects na cost and nasisiwalat lang because for the past 2 years, sunod-sunod yung major flooding events. So clearly, there's something wrong when the DPWH budget designates 1/3 of its new appropriations. So can you imagine how absurd that is? To flood control, pero hindi naman nakakontrol ng flood. Today po actually, DPWH budget hearing. So, handa tayo, geared tayo na kung ano yung bagong budget na to, given nga na nagkaroon ng pronouncement na zero ang budget for flood control for 2026.
Are you keen on that? Are you keen on making that zero for 2026? Because Senator Risa Ontiveros said she was not too keen on making it zero, but instead realigning the budget.
Well, ang call po ng Makabayan Bloc, no, una, lahat po ng flood control projects that is not part of a regional master plan or walang scientific basis, meaning yung pachi-pachi lang, dapat zero yan. Dapat wala yan sa budget. But if yun nga, part siya ng may scientific basis, may pag-aaral, may studies kung ano yung magagawin ng flood control na to, part siya ng regional master plan and therefore parang sure tayo na hindi lang to isang racket ng isang lawmaker or even ng isang DPWH official, di pwede po. But sa bahagi namin, yung 260 billion pesos plus for flood control projects now, medyo sky's the limit. Saan to pwedeng ilagay? Lagay natin sa education, lagay natin sa health, lagay natin sa housing, which sees paltry budget almost all the time. So sa atin, lagay natin sa buildings, sa state universities and colleges, sa pagpapatayo ng bago nito, sa bagong scholarship funds, sa bagong pabahay, sa bagong DOH hospitals and the like.
And speaking of corruption, we do know that two names have floated already in the hearings. Ito nga yung pangalan ni House Speaker Martin Romualdez at Congressman Zaldico. And there is a rumored leadership change that will happen today. Anong naririnig mo tungkol doon? Have you been approached, at least, to vote for a new speaker?
Well, dahil minority block kami, wala talagang kumakausap sa amin. And I think sure sila na kahit anong mangyari, we will be sticking with yung mga principles namin in the minority block. And medyo malabo kung may lalapit sa amin for speaker. So, to confirm, wala pong lumalapit sa amin. And my guess is as good as yours. Lahat nga ng alam ko ay nasasagap ko sa media. So, nakaantabay tayo today for any developments and changes. But more importantly, yung pakana ng maraming kongresista, I think, would be the DPWH budget hearing this morning. But yun nga po, sa bahagi ng Makabayan Bloc, sa bahagi ng maraming mga agrabyadong mga mamamayang Pilipino, kailangan pong may significant movements na sa paano may imbestigahan yung mga contractors, lawmakers, DPWH officials na pinapangalan na nasasangkot. And tingnan natin at patuloy nating pag-aralan kung ano yung mga developments tungkol dito.
And paano ba yung mangyayari? Kung wari stepping down, is that resignation? Kasi pag resignation, tama ba na kailangan boboto yung buong Kamara for the next speaker? At kung boboto man, sino ang napupusuan ng minority at ng Makabayan Bloc?
Well, sa bahagi namin, sa rules, nakalagay na yes, if there is stepping down, that would mean resignation. Siguro mayroon tayong makikitang pagboboto ng bagong speaker, though it remains to be seen kung anong mode of voting. Pero sa bahagi naman po ng Makabayan Bloc, sa history niya, ay careful yung consideration niya sa ganito. We can say that we have no intent to join the majority and okay po kami dito sa posisyon namin sa minority where we're able to ask questions. We're able to ensure that kung ano man po yung mga activities in different committees ay pwede namin i-check. And syempre, patuloy tayong tumitindig laban sa sistema na tuloy-tuloy yung paghahanap ng means of corruption because of how the system is set up in the first place. Privatized yung infrastructure, there's no other option. Privatized yung pag-deliver ng maraming services and patuloy din yung efforts to make it more aggressively private. And so actually sa amin, ang pagtingin namin, hindi enough ang pagpalit ulo. Wala pong gagawin yung pagpalit ulo. Kailangan may pagpalit ng sistema.
Pero paano nga ba gagawin yun, ano? Yung pagpapalit ng sistema and how do we hold our people in power accountable? Yun na nga, it goes all the way up to the congressmen and to the senators. Paano yun? How do we institutionalize these changes? And the last question is for the leadership change. Sabi nyo, sa rules, dapat boboto para sa susunod na House Speaker. Pero sabi ni Congressman Toby Chango, he was very direct. The most important vote is not inside the House of Representatives. Out of respect to Malacanang, nobody would dare make a move. And that's what we're all waiting for. What would you have to say to that?
In relation to the first question, actually, I would go up to extend it to President Marcos. No, this gantong widespread na corruption, and as provided po sa mga reports, for example, ng Philippine Center of Investigative Journalism, where these same top contractors have been the top contractors since the time of President Arroyo, kung saan naging mas aggressive yung infrastructure projects, and that status quo has remained, including as well yung pag-institutionalize ng pork barrel system, na even though unconstitutional yung parang surface or yung legal pork, ay ngayon hidden na siya. No? And this entire system, ang chief architect po nito ay si President Marcos Jr. And imposibleng hindi niya alam yung bilyones na lumalabas in flood control funds, no? Nang hindi niya may go signal, or hindi at least may awareness si President Marcos Jr. So sa bahagi namin, ang kailangan mangyari para magkaroon ng effective institutional changes ay tanggalin natin sa una yung mga aspects that protect the monopoly of power to the hands of the few. Simula, of course, yung pagkakaroon dapat ng anti-political dynasty law. The Constitution already prohibits political dynasties, but hanggang ngayon ay sinastruggle pa rin yung pagkakaroon ng definition that would, allow an enabling law to create yung gantong klaseng restrictions. Sa SK meron na, sa bar meron na. Why not sa rest ng sistema natin? That's one lang. Pero ikalawa din, of course, kailangan nating i-rethink at kailangan magkaroon ng changes sa aggressively privatized system of spending or even of creating buildings, creating projects. There is no other way to create buildings right now other than to, contract it out to a private contractor.
Correct.
Tapos ngayon, kung malalaman natin kung paano yun, marami tayong involved, no? So, that's
Congresswoman,
one.
ihahabol ko lang tong tanong na to, no? Kasi alam ko, medyo kaidaran mo siya. Si Congressman Kiko Barzaga, as he approached you, what are your thoughts on him? Kasi parang hindi ko alam kung nagpahayag siya na gusto niya maging speaker, pumalit kay House Speaker Martin Romualdez. But he does belong, for one, to a political dynasty from the Barzagas of Cavite. Your thoughts on your colleague?
Actually, doon po sa mga shinare ng ibang mga representatives, isa rin ako sa, I think, numerous na nilapitan niya for speakership. Pero to be clear, yung paglapit is, I think, 2-minute interaction where he pinahayag din niya yung intent niya and then asked for support. And sa bahagi namin, patuloy namin pinag-aaralan, pero we're pretty settled dito sa aming position again sa minority. And similarly, kung magkakaroon ng botohan for speaker, I foresee na mag-abstain ang Makabayan bloc. Na hopefully, no, hindi na lang kami ni Representative Tino, pero papasok rin si Representative Sara Alago very soon. And so, yun po yung mga ilang mga developments inside, outside. Actually, we are heartened to see yung mas maraming engagement ng kabataan, my age, younger, or even other generations sa pagpapanagot sa mga kurakot at patuloy na nakikitang nag-take advantage ng systems like political dynasties. No? Representative Kiko Barzaga included sa mga may ties to political dynasties. So actually, I'd like to take this time to invite everyone to the September 21 mobilization, 9 a.m. sa Luneta. No? Bahain natin yung luneta ng ating galit, ng ating indignation sa gantong klaseng nangyayari sa sistema. And other than political dynasties and anti-privatization efforts legislatively, no? Let us push for these also outside of Congress through organizing ourselves. No, I see good efforts and maunlad na efforts gaya ng Water for the People Network na because of their efforts and pag-organize ng iba't ibang leaders, iba't ibang stakeholders, are they able to expose yung prime water issue, no? And nakakuha tayo ng iba't ibang updates kung kamusta na yon on the level of the ports. Organization works. And I hope na makita kayong lahat sa September 21.
Malinaw na malakas ang boses ng kabataan ngayon sa House of Representatives. Maraming salamat for joining us today. We have Kabataan Party List Representative Renee.
Thank you very much.